Oh, good evening. How are you all tonight? Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. Make sure I got you plugged in. It's been a busy day. So I'm sitting down having one. I drink Yuengling. Grab something if you'd like, and we'll talk for a minute. I drink Yuengling. It's because it's an American beer, and it's the oldest brewery constantly in business in the United States, and I think it's the best beer. So have a Yuengling. I'm going to take a big swig, and then I'm going to give some advice to poor preppers, and then I'm going to make a recommendation of a movie, or at least part of a movie, and give you a little test. So just a second. Okay, well, that's good. I love sitting out on the deck in the evening or after dark. I don't know. It kind of looks like these lights might make things look a little weird. If they do, sorry. They look nice here. I got a notification that there was a comment on my Rumble account, which I haven't put anything on Rumble. I don't know how long, but somehow I still get notices. Somebody is following you. Somebody new is following you. And I started Rumble a long time ago when, it was the big fear that YouTube was going to take everybody off, all the prepper channels off, and so everybody was backing up on Rumble, right? Of course, a lot of people said, you should move to Rumble. Well, Rumble doesn't have nearly the audience that YouTube does, but I started putting stuff, so when I'd load it onto YouTube, I'd also load it onto Rumble. To be honest, I stopped doing that. It took extra time. Rumble at that time was difficult to deal with, difficult to understand, and I don't have a half a day to sit down and try to figure something new out. Okay, as long as YouTube is working fine, I'm fine with it. But anyway, so I get this notification and that there's a comment. Somebody left a comment on one a long time ago, and they said, I really enjoy your videos, but I can't afford to go to Patreon, so I don't know why they couldn't just come to YouTube. But you all are going to benefit from his question on Rumble. Can't afford to go on Patreon, so how about for some of you all, for some of us who can't afford that, can you give us some gardening advice? And the funny thing is because it seemed like it was a response to, I think I may know what it is. Okay, it seemed like it was a response to the one that I put up earlier today about, starting with gardening and caps and whatever else I talked about this morning. But it seemed now I realized that I put something in Rumble to make it copy everything that was on YouTube over to Rumble. Maybe that's what's happened. I don't know. I haven't checked it in a long time. Okay. Long, funny story, right? But anyway, I'm going to give the advice. I'm going to give the advice to the person who says they're so poor they can't come over to Patreon. And I'm going to give you honest advice. Okay? Listen. And I'm going to tell you how to make some money too. Okay? But first off, if that is really up, and I'm also going to give you the gardening advice. I tell you what, I'll give you the gardening advice first. Okay? What do I do for my raised beds? Okay? I think I left out a step. I forgot to tell you to put in dirt, but I figured everybody knew that, right? So I have raised beds, and I'll throw a bunch of sticks and old wood down on the bottom, and new limbs that I've trimmed off of trees down on the bottom of the raised beds. And what that does is, as the moisture seeps down through the soil, it will soak up and soak into that wood. The wood will decompose, providing additional fertilizer, and it will retain a mass that retains water. Okay, and then over that I'll put a bunch of leaves and grass clippings that I get from my own yard, and then I'll put a bunch of dirt on it, and the wood, the sticks, the leaves, all that kind of comes from the hugelkultur, right? And then I'll put dirt in it that I had a bunch of dirt shipped in several years ago, and then I compost a lot. And how do you compost? This is so you don't need fertilizers. Okay, you don't need fertilizers. all your kitchen scraps, except for meat, should go into your compost pile. Eggshells are great, banana peels, everything. No, it doesn't matter. As long as it's not meat, put everything in there. And coffee grounds are great. And as these things are in your compost pile, they decompose, they become biologically active, okay? And it is the greatest fertilizer you can get, and it encourages worms, and worm castings are the greatest you can get. Now, I do add a couple of things. I will add, and just here in a couple of days, I'm going out to the Kansas City Community Garden. They have a big event every year. It's a great place. Maybe I'll do a video on it. And I buy a bunch of tomato starts and seedlings and peppers and stuff like that, because they just do such a great job. Yes, I've done it myself in the past. If I have time, I enjoy doing that, but as long as they're out there, they give me a great jump start on it, and they take care of everything, and I go out there and I get them for next to nothing. I mean, next to nothing. And then they'll also give you a big old bag of rabbit pellets, and you can buy more if you want. And then I put that in my garden. Let me have another sip. So the first thing you do is you don't have to buy fertilizer, make it yourself, compost everything except meat. Fish are great. You want to put fish in there? Great. And then, you can buy seed starts if your town has community garden or something like that. Go out there and buy them. They're next to nothing, or buy a pack of seeds. I mean, seeds are next to nothing, right? See all these things that are next to nothing? So for a poor person, you're set. And if you don't have the area to put in raised beds, put them in 5-gallon buckets. And if you don't have $2 to buy a 5-gallon bucket at Home Depot, they're laying all over the place. You can find them all over the place. Just go by in some buildings. You'll see a bunch of them being thrown out in the trash. Make sure that they're food grade, but even if they're not, you can put a trash sack in. You can go to bakeries or places like that. They're wanting to get rid of their buckets all the time. Ask them if they got a few buckets you can have. They'll probably give them to you, and if the first place doesn't, the second place probably will. Okay, that's my advice on that. But I want to give you better advice. I want to give you more important advice. If you can't afford $1 a month, and it doesn't matter whether it's for my Patreon channel or not. And if you don't want to join somebody's Patreon channel, just say you don't want to. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's your dollar. You don't have to explain it to anyone. You don't want to join my Patreon channel or Joe Fox's Patreon channel or anybody else's, just don't do it. You don't owe me or anybody else an explanation. But if you say you can't, that's a problem, okay? You're either lying to me or you're lying to yourself. Because, you can close your eyes. Yeah, you better leave them open. You can go down to your local supermarket and walk around the parking lot for an hour and find $1 in coins laying on the ground, okay? So that is not an excuse. And the one thing that I want to say to the people that say they're too poor is if somebody gives me an excuse, I'm done. I'm done trying to help them. Okay, that sounds brutal. It sounds cold. No, let me explain. If somebody says, "Oh, give me an idea," okay, good. Now you've asked me to help. Okay, in the past, I've had people ask me for money, and I said, "No, but let me tell you how you can get money on your own." Now, if somebody was really in dire need, I give money, right? Don't anybody email me and say, "Steve, can I have some money?" No. I give money to people here and there. Okay, I'm not going to explain why. That's my business. But I've had people call me up in dire straits, and when I've talked to them about how to fix their situation, and I know that they were wanting me to offer to help them, write them a check. When I've offered advice on how to fix their situation, they didn't want to hear it. They were hoping I'd give them money. And that doesn't help them. That's giving a drunk a drink, right? So if you can't afford $1, you have huge problems, and it has nothing to do with preparedness. It has to do with your life. And there's no way that you can begin to prepare when you're not even satisfying the basic needs of your own life. And if you're living that close to the edge, and what I preach is don't live close to the edge. Don't live close to the edge of your life, of your money, of anything else. You're already in a really bad situation. And almost everybody that I've known who was in a really bad situation was in it because of bad decisions that they made. And usually one after another, after another, after another, after another. Repeated bad decisions and failure or refusal to take the advice of people who are trying to help them and can help them because they have made good decisions. Okay? Another sip. Because I can afford it. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to be helpful. Well, somebody says, I can't find a job. Oh, I can't find a job. My 17-year-old son has 3 jobs. Don't give me that. You can find a job. You got a job, get a second job. You got 2 jobs, still not making it, get a 3rd job. Figure out a way. Figure out a way that you can sell something yourself. Whether it's making something, whether it's a service. Okay? Can you cut grass? Can you shovel snow? Can you put up Christmas lights? Can you fix your neighbor's toilet? Anything. There are a million ways to make money. Okay? A million. You have to be determined to be broke if you're broke in the United States of America. Okay? So that is a bunch of malarkey. This I can't afford. Do you have any advice for those of us who can't afford $1 a month for Patreon? You see, you're not serious. You're not serious. Now, if I can help 1 or 2 people, and I kind of dislike that saying, if I can just help 1 person. It's not about helping 1 person. I'd rather help 1,000,000 people, okay? I'd rather help 100 people, 1,000 people who hear this and say, thanks for kicking me right in the square in the butt, Steve, because I needed to hear that, and I'm going to get up off my butt and do something about it. My oldest that I just told you about, that at 17 has 3 jobs, bought his own car when he was 15 years old, pays the whole car himself, pays all the insurance himself. Daddy didn't buy it for him. Daddy doesn't pay his insurance. Daddy doesn't pay anything. Okay? He pretty much, except the house that he lives in. He went out there and did it at 15 and a half years old, and you can't? Get out there and do something. Okay, back to what was, I got off track because I was thinking about that. But if you really want to do it, you will do it. And if you don't want to do it, you'll find an excuse why you can't. Okay? I think I failed to finish a thought back there somewhere. It doesn't matter. All of this kind of fits in with each other, but like I say, oh yeah, I know what I was talking about. He used to go with us. Kelly and I used to run a bunch of periodical delivery. We had periodical delivery service. You know, all these free things that you see when you go into Walmart and everything like that. And we would have, we did that 16, 18 hours a day. You know, it was one of the ways we made our money before we did other things. And made great money, but it was a lot of work and a lot of hours. And, you know, we'd stop in libraries and we'd stop in just everywhere you can. Everywhere that you go in, and there's a little magazine rack over there with the homes and the jobs and everything like that. That's what we did. And Aiden would go with us. And when he was about, I don't know, you know, maybe 6, 7, 8, it's hard to remember. He started looking when we would go into a place. He'd see all the vending machines there, right? Pop and potato chips and candy bar and coffee machines, stuff like that, right? And he'd started checking to see if there was any money left in the coin return. One day he made over $6. Have you ever thought about doing that? Do you do it? I'm not going to do that. I'm too proud to do that. Well, you're too broke to spend $1 a month on Patreon, aren't you? If I've insulted anybody, it was my intent. I hope to insult you into doing something for yourself. You need to do better. That's the thing. You need to do better for yourself, whether you join my Patreon channel or not. I mean, you will get so much information there. You know, you ought to pay a lot more. But that's not the point. You need to do better. I don't need your dollar. You need your dollar. You need a lot more dollars, and you need to get out there and figure out a way to do it, because you see, it's your responsibility to support yourself. And people who won't take that responsibility are always looking for free stuff. They're always looking for somebody to help them. Okay, always. And then they always brag about, oh, these people came and helped me. That was so good. Well, how about you get up off your ass and make something of yourself so you can help other people? Huh? Instead of being a professional victim. You know, I've said so often, and no, I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to get into that. But have a little self-respect. Have a little pride. And I don't mean that in the prideful way that God doesn't like. I mean, get up there and understand your responsibility as a human being who's living and breathing, and your heart's beating. And I mean, there's quadriplegics that make a living doing things, right? And you can't. I mean, take a good hard look at yourself. And when you look in the mirror, you're going to see where the problem lies. Now, I hope you do something about it. Okay? I hope you do something about it. Because going through life expecting other people to give you free stuff, wow, what kind of a life is that? I mean, I hope, and I don't mean this in an unkind way, but I hope you don't have kids. I mean, kids who rely on you to provide for them, because then you would be teaching them that this is how to live. And we already have too many people who have been taught that this is the way to live. You know, we have people now in their 5th and 6th generations in a family where nobody in a family has ever had a job. Whoa, wow. Okay, so anyway, that's my hope, and I'm sure that most people won't take it. If there's a couple of people out there that will, if there's some people out there that say, I'm going to watch this because he titled this, whatever I decide to title it, Advice for Poor Preppers. Okay, I'm going to watch this because I want to prepare and I'm poor. I just gave you everything you need to know. Everything you need to know. But you didn't tell me how to do it. If you need me to tell you how to do it, and I've done that. You know, I had for a while, I had a channel called Prepping for Prosperity, and I gave advice on how to make money. And you know what I got more than anything else over there? Complaints and whining and arguing. So that's that, okay? I hope, please do something for yourself. And don't join my Patreon channel. Apply that dollar to something in your life, okay, to make your life better. So now, a movie. I don't watch many movies because I find most of them just silly. Okay, I just do. I can't. I mean, I will get on sometimes. I enjoy watching good movies, and but they're few and far between. And so every now I'll get on Netflix or Tubi, and I'll just kind of scroll through there and see if there's something. Because anytime I have some downtime, you know, I work a lot. I mean, I write. I just do a lot of things I won't get into. And occasionally I just says, you know, I'm done thinking. I think I'd just like to watch a little something for entertainment. And then I do. And usually when I find a movie that kind of halfway interests me, it'll take me maybe a week, maybe not quite that long, several days to a week to watch the whole thing, because I'll watch it 10, 15 minutes at a time. You know, and then I've got something to do, or, you know, kids come home or something like that. Well, I just turned on one earlier, and this is going to be my recommendation, and then I have an assignment and a test. And I I was flipping through Netflix, and I came on this one, and I am not a sci-fi guy. I'm not Star Wars, I'm not Star Trek, I'm just not. I don't find it interesting. For the most part. I find it interesting, the creativity that goes into it, and the imagination. I find that very interesting. But as far as, you know, No, I don't. Well, something hit me, and for some reason, I don't know why, and it was called, what was it called? It was called Rebel Moon. Okay. And it's kind of a sci-fi dystopia. I guess the story is that, I don't know, I'm not sure what the story is, but a pre-electricity group of people on some planet somewhere, for some reason, is it's the province of an advanced civilization with spaceships and everything, and it is the it seems to me, and I watched 25 minutes of it. Okay, here's what I want to give you an assignment. I watched 25 minutes, and in that 25 minutes, I saw so many lessons of what that would apply to what we might be dealing with in the future. I found it marginally interesting. I'm going to probably finish this. I guess there's 2 parts, 2 movies or something. I don't know. Did I say it's Rebel Moon? And so far, I've watched 25 minutes. And it's there were enough lessons in there for me to say, you know what? There's a lesson. 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 And so I thought that I'd give it out there to you guys. If you've watched it, let me know what you think. List all the lessons you found in it. If you haven't watched it and you want to watch it, it's on Netflix right now. And I guess there's 2 parts up there. Watch part number 1. I haven't finished part number 1. I haven't started on part number 2. So watch it and get a piece of paper, pencil, write down all the lessons you can find, because there are a bunch of lessons in there. And I don't know, the pre-electricity people, they're on this moon or this planet or something, and they're involved in, agricultural type of things, and just barely making it. And I don't know, I guess there's supposed to be some kind of combination Celtic Viking type of culture. They play Irish music in the background. Of course, a lot of places, a lot of these things play Irish music because it sounds kind of unworldly. Excuse me, one more. Yingling. So anyway, that's it. So there's my advice for poor preppers. The biggest advice is don't be poor anymore. Stop being poor. Why do you want to be poor? There's nothing, there is nothing to be proud of to be poor. I know a lot of country songs make you want to be proud to be poor. There's nothing intrinsically valuable about being poor. It doesn't make you a better person. There's no reason to, and you can't help anybody. So stop being poor, help yourself, help other people, and then the whole world will be a better place. Okay? All right. You all, and then I can't wait to hear all your comments on the lessons down below for this Rebel Moon. You all have a good night. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And one of the very basic things of preparing well is your financial preparedness, because without it, I don't care how many things you can make with some twine and baling wire, you're not going to live nearly as well as if you have the money or whatever type of exchange to buy the things that make life better or enable you to prepare better, okay? You all have a good night. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.